this video, we will discuss the best test for hypothyroidism. While there's no shortage of opinions on what the best way to test for hypothyroidism is, I think that anyone who's intellectually honest would have to agree that many of the tests that are currently held as the gold standards today are either unreliable themselves or based on tests that have long been discarded for being unreliable. The good news is that there's a better way, and it's actually quite simple, and in this video I'm going to share with you the best test for hypothyroidism. Low body temperature and hypothyroidism. Low body temperature is a real problem, and it can be a reliable indicator of hypothyroidism. It's known that hypothyroid people get sick more often and are far more likely to develop health complications and disease. Your thyroid is responsible for controlling and regulating a large number of functions within your body, including metabolism and heat production, circulatory system and blood volume, muscular health, nerve health, digestive health, health of every organ, health of every tissue, and the health of every cell. Every cell in your body relies on thyroid hormone to produce energy and remain healthy. When your cells use thyroid hormone, they produce more energy and therefore more heat. When your cells are starved of thyroid hormone, they produce less energy and therefore less heat. By simply measuring the heat that your cells or body produce at rest can give you direct insight into how much thyroid hormone your cells are actually using. TSH test, blood test, and all other thyroid tests do not tell you how much thyroid hormone your cells are actually using, which is incredibly important information if you want to accurately diagnose hypothyroidism. The basal body temperature test. Dr. Broda Barnes pioneered the basal body temperature test. He also spent more than 50 years researching, proving that hypothyroidism was the underlying cause of heart disease today. As of yet, no one's been able to invalidate his research, yet his work has been and continues to be largely ignored by the medical community today. In 1942, he published a study, which there's a link in the description, demonstrating the effectiveness of basal temperature in diagnosing hypothyroidism and its ability to prevent wrong diagnoses that have led to unnecessary operations to remove the thyroid gland, which can lead to severe health complications. In summary, the results of the study of over 1,000 cases indicate that number one, subnormal body temperature is a better index for thyroid therapy than basal metabolic rate, and number two, the differential diagnosis between hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism is sometimes difficult. In 7 cases reported the diagnosis was wrong, in 5 of which an operation had been performed. The temperature was subnormal in each case, which begs the question: if measuring your basal body temperature is so safe and effective, then why do so many doctors, maybe even yours, dismiss its relevancy? How to measure your basal body temperature. Get a thermometer and put it within arm's reach by your bedside at night before you go to sleep. If using a mercury thermometer, be sure to shake it down. Don't eat anything late at night or in the middle of the night, as digestion can affect basal metabolism. Go to sleep. Wake up in the morning, lie in bed as still as possible while you take your temperature for 10 minutes. If you're using a digital thermometer, it's best to leave it in your mouth for 10 minutes prior to turning it on for the most accurate results. How to interpret your basal temperature. Men and postmenopausal women can take their basal temperature on any day. However, women who are menstruating will notice that their temperature will fluctuate depending on what part of the cycle they're in. During the first half of their cycle, the temperature will be lower. During the second half of the cycle, their temperature will be higher. So, menstruating women should measure their basal temperature on days 2 through 4 of menstruation. A healthy functioning thyroid will consistently maintain a basal body temperature between 97.8 degrees Fahrenheit and 98.2 degrees Fahrenheit upon waking. Anything lower than 97.8 degrees Fahrenheit implies that, at complete rest, your cells are not able to produce adequate energy to meet the energy demands of your body, and is a strong indicator of being hypothyroid. Extraneous influences on basal temperature. While there is a real argument for basal temperature being a more accurate indicator of hypothyroidism than blood testing, there are extraneous influences that need to be accounted for, which can influence the results of the test. Air temperature. The colder the air temperature, the harder your thyroid has to work to maintain your body temperature, and the warmer the air temperature, the less it has to work. If the air temperature is relatively warm, then your thyroid will have little work, and therefore your basal temperature may appear higher than it truly is. The influence of infection. Oral temperature can be used, but it's well known that even the common sinus infection can falsely raise oral temperature. If there's any possibility of infection, then it's best to use underarm temperature instead. Other extraneous influences to keep in mind are sleeping under an electric blanket, exercise, or taking a hot bath can also influence results by artificially increasing your body temperature. The importance of your pulse. Today we can do better than just basal temperature because there are various extraneous influences that can affect body temperature. It's also important to monitor your pulse as an additional indicator of thyroid function. Even if basal temperature is normal, if your pulse is below 80 to 85 beats per minute, then this is yet another indicator of hypothyroidism. Tracking both temperature and pulse together can be a powerful combination, and it can be used to decipher what's happening within the body on a hormonal level, which then tells us what we need to do in order to correct the underlying problems that are inhibiting the thyroid. Tracking your basal body temperature, regardless of whether you've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism or not, is something seriously to consider starting now. It's also the best way to test for hypothyroidism at home, and arguably the best test for hypothyroidism, period. It can give you a lot of insights as to whether you're truly hypothyroid, even if other tests say that you're not. For those that are currently taking medication, it can also be very useful in determining whether or not your medication is working for you. If you'd like to learn more about safe and natural ways of overcoming hypothyroidism, ways that don't default to spending the rest of your life tied to taking prescription medications or cut first and ask questions later, then I'd like to invite you to click on the link that I left for you in the description. It'll take you to a free presentation where you'll learn exactly what other people with hypothyroidism are already doing and already using to help stop hypothyroidism directly at the source and take back their lives. Thanks for watching, and if you got value out of this, please leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Stick around, and I'll see you in the next video in the series.